Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we are returning to Suzerain Rizia, a new DLC out for Suzerain, which puts you in the shoes of a monarchy, kind of a fictional Middle East-inspired monarchy, it would seem, an oil state, and our first look series in which we definitely have not done everything perfect, and hopefully things will progress in a positive manner. To that end, however, we are in the process in today's episode of meeting with President Viktor Smolak, the genocidal leader of Valen, one of our neighbors to the north, who currently have a 25-year lease on a province called Zil. That lease is about to expire. They are supposed to hand that province back over to our kingdom. It is definitely a point of contention. We don't like this guy, and yet we are trying to get the land back that he currently controls. And he's a dictator, a military dictator, so he may not want to give it to us. We'll see what happens with that. There's some excitement that definitely goes on in this episode, so we'll see how that handover or that attempted handover will proceed. But without further ado, we're just going to jump in. As a reminder, this is taken from my Twitch channel, so if you're interested in following these streams over there, you can. You can also watch the full VOD over there, rather than sort of these serialized episodes on YouTube. Let's just go ahead and jump into the thing and see what happens. What's the Golden Guard want to tell us? The crisp morning air filled my lungs as I crossed the palace courtyard with Hugo. I was headed to a long overdue meeting with Titus regarding the Golden Guard, and my uncle had insisted on accompanying me. I'm glad you've arranged a formal meeting with Captain Gordion. There's much to be gained in fostering a robust relationship. Agreed. More than you know. They possess untapped potential that would prove quite advantageous should the need arise. Unfortunately, their current directive limits their capabilities, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Captain Gordion can tell you more. Yes, but what I really want to know is where his loyalties are at. He is without a doubt one of the most trustworthy individuals in the entire kingdom. That means I shouldn't trust him. Then I look forward to seeing him live up to your expectations. You've painted quite a positive picture of him. It wasn't long before we'd crossed the courtyard and reached the armory, which also serves as the Golden Guard's headquarters. As we approached, a pair of soldiers flanked on either side of the entrance greeted us with a formal salute. Offer a high five. High five! High five! Salute back. Upon entering the way forward, is surrounded by a collision of old weaponry, an armor on display, polished shields, and rusted sword appeared, frozen in time. We eventually reached a training facility where we found Captain Gordion in boxing gloves, sparring with another Golden Guardsman. My money's on Captain Gordion. What do you say, 50 guilder? I'll take that bet. I don't know that winning the bet or losing the bet matters. The two men circled around each other for a while before they started swinging. 3 rounds later, the captain had my guy on the ropes. Still feeling confident about your choice? My certainty hasn't waned. Then I guess we'll see what that certainty takes us. We continued watching the fight. My guy did manage to land a few hits, but in the end, Captain Gordion came out on top with a powerful punch to the jaw. I never carry cash. You know I'm not paying you, right? I bet I could take him. Certainly appears that way. Looks like I owe you. Let it be a life lesson that the person who knows more about these things and bets on them and gives me the option to pick the loser is probably going to be right? Yeah, sure. Okay, uncle. You're wasting too much energy running around the ring. Next time, just take one step and pivot. Your Majesty, many apologies. I didn't see you there. You're earlier than I expected. No need to apologize. Just like in the ring, timing can be a challenge. Very true, sir. I must say that's quite the right hook you've got there. Courtesy of my former boxing days. I've always enjoyed the sport, though I don't much follow it regularly. Regardless, we should go. We've got plenty to talk about. Very good, sir. If you'll come with me, I can take you somewhere more secluded. Captain Gordian removed his boxing gloves as he headed toward the entrance to another wing of the armory. Well, your grace, shall we? Your counsel is no longer required. Let's go. Hugo and I caught up to Titus as he was stepping inside the building. Upon entering, we were once again enveloped by an array of antiquated weaponry and armor. Titus motioned toward the displays. I bought most of this out of the storage soon after I took command. A considerable portion of what you see was in bad shape and required extensive refurbishment. Got quite the arsenal here, Captain. Please, by all means. Why don't you tell me about that sword? Terador's Fury. Its notoriety spans back several hundred years, just after the fall of the Empire of Valgos received Pales from Rizia. Although we lost our most important port, we managed to keep our enemy from making further inroads into the kingdom at the Battle of Terador. Legend has it that this sword supposedly took off the head of the Valgos army's top general. It's considered bad luck to mention severed heads in the presence of kings. A bad day for him. To put it lightly, if you would like, your majesty, I can have the sword polished for ceremonial use. That would be great. What about that suit of armor of yours? I pointed to an intricately adorned armored suit that stood out amongst the others. That would be the armor of King Romus Toras, the first ancestor from whom all members of your house are descended. After securing power in Monquise, his dynasty managed a stronghold over the city-state through the Marcaean era, and upon the foundation of the Kingdom of Rizia assumed control over the neighboring Valkyries. It's always good to refresh myself on history. Whatever that is. A metal coffin-like structure that stood upright. Saint Mercury, our aptly named Iron Maiden, a torture device from a bygone era. Can you die by that in this game? Can you, will they put you in that? Too bad. A lot of fun could be had with that. Kidding, of course. It's rumored to have been used on a suspected spies during the War of Rizian Succession. Let us hope it is never brought out of retirement. The last thing we need is for House Sazon and House Azaro to get any bright ideas. Okay. Would you care for some wine? It's an exceptional vintage, dating back to 1893 to be exact, from Rizia's very own Cantonuvo vineyards. Thanks, I only drink wine from 1892. It's a bit early, but what the hell? They're trying to get me drunk again. Why do they keep trying to get me drunk? Sure. I do hope it's not the only bottle in existence. Unfortunately, this is my only one, but I'm sure there's other hidden away in the kingdom. Titus placed the bottle elsewhere before he settled in a chair across from me. So to what do I owe the pleasure of your visit? It was suggested by my uncle that I get to know you better. He seemed to think that forging a personal relationship outside of our working one will prove highly beneficial. Do you have your eyes on me at all times, even during intimate moments? It is our utmost aim to protect the royal family's security while respecting your privacy. You can expect that we'll be watching you and your family members in public and standing guard outside any room you enter. But what you do in that room is no business of ours. And what if I want you to watch me? What? I don't understand. Bro. Bro. Like, I don't know. What is the right answer here? I don't have a good sense of what's going on. Okay. Good. That's the correct answer. What do you deem to be my personal safety right now? Your government security forces seem to have a handle on the populace, but who has a handle on them? I don't want to overstep my bounds so early into my employ, but I do believe that Azaros could pose a threat. Please don't worry, His Majesty, with such speculations, Captain Gordian. House Azaro and House Toras have been close allies since the War of Rizian succession. Indeed, if there's any house we should worry about, it's the Saisons. I appreciate you voicing your concerns, Titus, even if I don't share them. Hypothetically, could the Golden Guard help the Crown with a murder investigation? If we were granted the resources, such an investigation would not be out of the question. Would you care to elaborate? Did Hugo murder my father? Is that where it's at? I will, should the need arise. Before long, Hugo and I left the armory and were making our way back to the palace courtyard. A murder investigation? Your Majesty, is there something you'd like to tell me? Yes, I'm on the hunt for whoever killed your sense of humor. Lol. Ha! Hugo and I said our goodbyes and parted ways. I still wasn't fully sold or not on whether Titus could be trusted, but satisfying knowing him, my influence over him remained strong. For now. Hugo seems a bit sus, I will say. Didn't we already see this? Yeah, they're not happy that we banned their propaganda. Tough shit, dudes. Alright, so we're going to the Smolik Square in Zil. He named the square after himself? What a fucking asshole. The flight of Czarnists and anti-malevolence dissidents from the United Cantana to the relative safety of Ostoki and Nelaperna is painting a stark picture of fear and political oppression. As these refugees cross borders in search of sanctuary, they carry with them the burden of escalating tensions and the prospect of stringent policy reforms in their host countries. The exodus underscores the profound impact of United Cantana's internal crackdown on highlighting issues in governance, human rights, and the brief moment of reduced stability in southern United Cantana. Okay. The territory of Zil. All right, well, let's go see what this Friendship Day is all about. I couldn't tell if the sky was growing darker or if it was just the tinted windows of the armored car. Our motorcade slowed as it approached the Zil border. A concrete barrier rose up in front of us, its top strung with barbed wire. My mother had insisted on accompanying me to the Vezek Rizian Friendship Day festivities. She leaned against the window, uncharacteristically quiet. Are you all right, Mother? I'm absolutely fine, darling. Say, we may have time for a quick detour once we reach the town? Of course. She leaned forward and gave the driver an address. He nodded. At the border, we presented our identification documents and the official invitation from President Smolik as we crossed. The road turned uneven. Promise me you'll get these highways back up and running once Zil is returned. It's at the top of my list. Factories, smokestacks rose up on either side of us. Through the haze, I spotted numerous shanty towns built over the past few years to house miners and refinery workers. We entered the city and drove on through a maze of tenement buildings, their facades heavily repainted to hide the damage from the war 20 years ago. As my mother had instructed him to, the driver veered down a side street that led toward the coast. We stopped in front of a small wooden building with a collapsed roof. The front porch was partially buried in sand. Jagged teeth of broken glass lined the window frames. They say you can't go home again. Rarely do they mean it this literally. She blinked back tears. This is where you grew up? She nodded. I never brought my parents here after they fled to Rizia. I knew it would break their hearts. I wish they could have seen it one last time the way it used to be. I tried to summon memories of my grandparents. They'd spent the last 10 years of their lives in the palace Resna, surrounded by luxury, yet they always seemed ill at ease. I'll have it fixed up one day, Mother. It'll be our summer house again. That ship has sailed, child. Just think, if I hadn't convinced Valero to get Valen involved in our affairs, none of this would have happened. She looked down at her hands. The Vezek president back then was such an upstanding man. How could I have known he'd go and get himself killed? So, there was a Valen civil war, right? It wasn't their home, though. I mean, I could see being ill at ease if you were, like, forced into a royal family that you didn't feel a part of. Again, that doesn't mean, like, oh, there's not comfort there, but you probably always feel like you're looking over your shoulder and that you don't really belong. It's not your fault. Father should have reneged on the agreement immediately after the assassination. And made outright enemies of Valen while our own country was still weak? Don't be foolish. Enough dallying. Driver, step on it. We got a date with the psychopath. Oh, you're awesome, Mother. We returned to the main road and drove towards Smolik Square, a circular plaza at the center of the town, once named after Duke Fido Sazon. A silver-stretched limousine was parked just in front of the square. Our driver stopped and we exited the car, flanked by our guards. Say what you will about Smolik, he never makes dull entrances. A dozen uniformed soldiers hurriedly got into formation around us, and the limo door opened, and Victor Smolik stepped out. Your Majesty, Queen Romus. Your Majesty, King Romus. Queen Mother Estella. He made a sweeping, exaggerated bow and straightened up with a grin. Welcome to Valen. Please make yourself at home. Actually, Mr. President, this is my mother's home. That's a little too confrontational. It's heartening to see that Zil remains in good hands. Yes, the square used to be gray and boring. Now look at it. He gestured out to the square with a colorful banner reading 24 years of Vezek Rizian friendship hung above a trio of gleaming tanks. Make yourself at home. Here's a drink made from a purple flower. Nothing symbolizes friendship like heavy artillery. I've been wanting to speak to you about the terms of this friendship. In due time, Your Majesty. First, we have some speeches to get through. We can't let down our adoring public. The square was surrounded by grandstands, one side decorated in the colors of Valen's flag, the other in Rizia's red and gold. I heard loud cheers emanating from them. I've invited the finest representatives from both of our countries to join us for this special occasion. Follow me, if you will. A semicircular stage was set up in front of the tanks. The crowd roared as we crossed the square and made our way over to it. Looking up into the grandstand, I noticed armed guards standing on every level. A captive audience. That would explain the enthusiasm. This whole ceremony is a sham. My mother and I took our seats. Victor stepped up to the microphone. Vezeks, Rizians, people of Zil. 24 years ago, the glorious country of Valen was given custody over this land. A great honor and a tremendous responsibility. Valen didn't only gain new territory that day, we gained new friends. He gestured meaningfully toward the Rizian side of the stands. After a few seconds, they broke out in scattered applause. My mother muttered a harsh-sounding curse in Zil dialect. What did you just say? May your testicles be stung by 1,000 jellyfish. Oh, Mom, you're awesome. Together we have overcome war, repaired our economy, and made great strides in science and industry. Even the decision of the Toras family to ally with Rumburg, a nation that obviously wishes Valen harm, could not diminish the beautiful bond we have formed. I look forward to strengthening that bond for many, many years to come. Many years to come? The lease is up in 1 year, buddy. He stepped to the side and pulled a rope attached to a flagpole. A massive Vezek flag unfurled, then a much smaller Rizian one. Let's not start an international incident quite yet. We'll let Victor finish his speech. Today I'm especially delighted to be blessed with the presence of Rizia's new king, as well as the Queen Mother, of course. They are heirs to a long, proud legacy, one that would have been shattered had Valen and Rizia not made the fateful decision to work hand in hand. On that note, please give a warm welcome to King Romus Toras. Don't make me suck up to this asshole. I stood up. The Rizian side of the stands immediately erupted in loud, authentic-sounding applause. Brothers and sisters! Thank you, President Smolik. You may not know it, but I am a grandson of Zil. The Queen Mother and I have deep ties to this land. I don't want to, quite just tell Valen to go fuck themselves while we're in the middle of their situation, so I will say that we appreciate what Valen did for my family and my country. I will never forget what Valen did for my family and my country. The past years have not been easy, so we can say in 1 year Rizia will resume governorship of Zil. Or, the past years have not been easy for any of you, but that time will come when we are reunited. I pledge to support Rizians and Veziks alike through the upcoming peaceful transfer of power. Glorious Ax Rizia! Glory to Rizia, echoes the Rizian side of the stands. Victor gave me an appraising glance and then readjusted his microphone. What a speech! The king's got charisma. We must have a terrific evening of entertainment lined up, but first we must commemorate this landmark meeting of world leaders with such a traditional triple tank salute. What? That's not all the king has. Wink, wink. Okay. Victor sure loves his tanks. After you, Mr. Smolik. A Victor Smolik special. This dude's compensating for something, that's for sure. Uh-oh. Victor whipped his head around in shock, a frenzied look in his eyes. I turned to my mother. Someone's gonna try and kill someone and they're gonna get gunned down, probably. Obviously, it's not part of the program. Mother, what happened? I don't... A deafening blast, much louder than the two that had preceded it, echoed from the opposite end of the square. I turned toward the source of the sound and saw the Vezik side of the stands engulfed in flames. Oh, shit. Okay. So, someone yelling for the king just killed a whole bunch of Vezik people, right? Protect Estella. Get down. Run away from... Okay. Yeah, so about that peaceful transfer of power, huh? How much do you want to bet that Victor Smolak staged the whole thing to be like, we can't transfer power, see? It's not peaceful. They're not ready. In fact, it's Rizia's fault. I bet it's Victor. We haven't done anything to instigate this. All right, it's time to be movie star action hero king. Run to the stands. Your Majesty, get down! Titus dove at me and tackled me to the ground. God damn it. I was hoping I'd make it there. Where's Mother? Romus! My mother and Victor were still on the podium, surrounded by a thick cordon of Vezik guards. Get me over there, Titus. He and Smolek's guards exchanged a series of hand signals. The crowd began fleeing in every direction. Titus grabbed my arm and swiftly started ushering me away. I took one last look back. I bet my mom's gonna end up dead somehow. What have you done, Smolek? Are you hurt? It seems like no Rizian was harmed. If your people had anything to do with this, there will be a price to pay. Okay, well, I think Victor was behind it. Just saying. In any event, that's going to probably be the end of this turn, I'm guessing. Let's see here. Read the preliminary report. Vezek Intelligence has released a thorough accounting of the event at the Vezek-Rizian Friendship Day. The explosion is said to have been caused by a detonation device planted under the grandstands and timed to go off during the afternoon celebrations. Part of the stands collapsed in the blast, killing 3 Vezek civilians and injuring a further 14. Witnesses at the event heard the shouted phrase, "for the king," prior to the blast, suggesting political motivations and the involvement of a pro-Rizian supporter. Valen's intelligence forces have indicated that the group, Su Omana, is under particular suspicion for the attack. That's bullshit. We already know Smolek is a psychopath. It's probably Smolek. This is a false flag. For sure. What's the news have to say? King unharmed in Zil bombing. Breaking news. Flash message. An explosion has occurred in Zil, Smolek Square, site of this year's Vezek-Rizian Friendship Day festivities. King Romus and Queen Mother Estelle, both in attendance, managed to escape unharmed. Though the cause of the blast is still unclear, this was undoubtedly a malicious act. Expect more updates in the coming days, as this incident is thoroughly investigated. Will Zil incident disrupt fragile bond between Rizia and Valen? The shocking explosion that rocked this year's Vezek-Rizian Friendship Day in Zil could impact the region's transition back to Rizian government, experts say. While the exact cause of the incident has not been determined, all signs point to an act of terrorism, and the fact that only Vezek civilians were harmed would certainly indicate Rizia's involvement. Should Vezek President Victor Smolek feel security in the region has been sufficiently compromised, he can invoke paragraph 37. Ah, yes, very convenient. We have done nothing. We literally have done nothing. There is no reason for terrorism to break out 1 year before the transition of power. There has been no indication of violence. We show up, and 1 year before the transition of power, something just so magically occurs that would fall under an article that allows Victor Smolek to delay the handover. This is 100% a false flag operation at the hands of Victor Smolek. I have no question about it. This, however, would anger the Rizians who have been anticipating a timely return of their lands. Although Valen and Rizia have a history of mutual aid, the relationship between the countries has been fractious since the Valen Civil War and the formation of close ties between Rizia and Rumburg. The Zil bombing might well be the tipping point. Hey guys, I think we should bomb the event. Why do you have a heavy Valen accent? Who is this guy? Chapter 2. Ties Tattered. More money! Yay! We got 3 gold. How's our military doing, by the way? We might need more of it. So we can't build any more tanks or any more support divisions because we've expended all of our support equipment. We can build more infantry divisions. Or I can build 1 more. So we'll have 9 divisions. I don't really know, like... So the one... Let's see here. The one thing I will say is Okay, so the one positive is if we have a bigger navy than Valen, we can blockade Zil. It doesn't even matter if our army's stronger. If our navy is strong enough, we can throw ships into the Gulf of Mordia and Vorloa Bay and prevent any reinforcements from getting to from Valen to Zil. For sure. So Navy seems to me to be the most important thing. It's a good thing we're investing in the Navy, I guess. A large white marble statue of the late King Valero has been revealed at the intersection of Taurus Avenue and the Golden Boulevard. The statue is a staggering 16 meters tall, with its crown plated with gold. Due to its location, the sun sets beautifully behind the king, forming a halo around him in the early evening. -1 per turn from power projection, so that's not great. Shipyard expansion is now half complete, apparently. Gas field expansion is 1/3 complete. I'm assuming the mining investigation is maybe done? Maybe not quite yet. Man, buying weapons overseas is expensive. We get one more budget if we sell what limited energy we have. So I think we will do that before the end of this turn. Oh, there we go. Construct the Quella's gold mine. 3 budget, 2 per turn on completion. Coal mine development, 2 budget, 1 energy per completion. We're already building the new oil facility, which will give us +2 energy, so that'll give us a net +3. So I'm thinking the gold mine might be worth more. Although it could impact the vineyards and hurt our other aspects of the economy. Why is she opposed to something that'll give us 500 military equipment? I guess the energy costs are substantial. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for today's episode of Suzerain Rizia. We had a close run thing with a bombing of some Vezek spectators at Friendship Day in Zil, and that's definitely not good, but we'll see how that unfolds in the following episodes. Until then, however, this is the Historical Gamer once again saying thank you very much for watching this series. Please feel free to leave your comments down below, and as always, until next time, thank you for watching. And I'm out. Bye-bye now.